growing conditions. Engineer Vincent Kabuti is the Deputy General Manager in charge of planning and strategy at the National Irrigation Authority. Welcome to Business Cafe.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right.
Yeah.
So rice, from wheat to maize, and now we are discussing rice.
Yes.
Talk to us a little bit about the current state of rice production in the country.
Okay. Thank you so much for that question. Rice production in this country is predominantly grown in irrigation schemes, and we have part of it that is grown under rain-fed conditions. At the moment, we have, as National Irrigation Authority, we have about 52,000 acres that are rice production. We're looking at Moya, Ahero, West Kano, Southwest Kano, Bunyala, and now we've introduced rice in Hola and Bura irrigation schemes. That these ones are in Tana District, Tana River County. And with this, that we are at around a production of 201,000 metric tons. There has been quite a tremendous growth in rice production in Kenya from way back in 2013, where we had only 24,000 acres under rice production, and we were achieving about 96,000 metric tons. But now the investment by government over the past years, almost 10 years, we have now doubled that, and we are doing much more. And with this, we are confident that we continue bridging the gap between the rice consumed and the rice that we're producing in the country.
All right, let's talk a little bit about that gap, because if we are producing currently 200,000 metric tons and the demand is projected to reach at least 540,000 by the end of this year, so how exactly are we going to meet the gap? Because that means now we would have to increase our imports, especially considering the conditions that are in the market with expensive flour, maize flour, and also wheat.
In the short term, yes, that may be a possibility that plugging this gap of about 300,000 tons, that importation might plug that. But as National Irrigation Authority, with support from government, we have rolled out plans where we are increasing the area under irrigation. There are plans, we are in the process of completing a Loanzo irrigation project, which will bring on board another 10,000 acres at the rice production. We are in the process of implementing Loakuja, which upon completion will bring about 20,000 acres at the rice production. And then the other thing is that we have a very good partnership with our colleagues in Karo and the Minister of Agriculture, where we are also identifying varieties that can be grown at what we call at the dry food conditions. The traditional rice has always been grown using a lot of water in paddy fields, where you have pools of water, standing water of about 120 millimeters. But now with the new technologies and new varieties, we can also be able to grow rice in areas where you do not necessarily have those kind of wet conditions.
All right, let's talk about the cost of production, because we've had previously an outcry from farmers who are complaining about maize and also wheat to some extent in Narok. When you're talking about the cost of production when it comes to rice vis-a-vis these other cash crops, what can you tell us about it? Is it cheaper? Walk us through it.
Well, it is not cheaper. It's also quite up there with these other crops, considering that especially with what is happening in the global geopolitics, we've seen the cost of fertilizer going up. Farmers use 4 bags of sulfate of ammonia, which the cost has gone from about 1,800 to about 4,800. You've seen the ammonium phosphate DAP going from about 2,800 to about 7,800. And again, also lab preparation, which is very critical in rice production, because if you are doing paddy fields, you have to do rotation. There's an element of we are trying to introduce transplanting, and then there's a combined harvester. All these equipment use diesel, which the prices are increasing. To give you a good example, our preparation has increased from about 3,000 to 3,000 shillings per acre to about 6,000 Kenyan shillings per acre. So this has also has had an input towards the cost of production of rice. We've seen the paddy rice from at the field rising. The prices rising from about 60 shillings per kg or per day to about 80 shillings per kg or per day. And you can also actually see this because at retail, prices have gone to from about 130, 150 to about 160 to 250, depending on the variety that you're consuming. The thing with rice is that the volume that is produced is quite enormous. If you are producing basmati, which is the very high-end rice, you do about 2.5 tons per acre. When you're doing the high-producing ones, but the slightly of low quality called BW, you do about 7 to 8 tons per acre. And with this high level of production, then it means that it makes rice a bit more affordable as compared to other crops.
And do you think it will unseat ugali from our tables?
Well, it's a long conversation. One thing I can tell you is that the per capita consumption of rice is increasing. I think this is also owing to the fact that the younger generation now, our kids, do not enjoy eating ugali as much as they enjoy eating rice. So as this trend continues, we are likely to have, it may not unseat, but ugali and rice, they both have their space in terms of meeting the food needs of this country. And
a very interesting point that you mentioned right there, because when you're looking at the rural areas, they really don't consume the rice. They produce the rice, but then they send it all the way to the urban centers. But the rural areas, they don't consume it as much. But when you're looking at the urban centers, demand is growing, and like you're saying, the youthful population is contributing to this.
Yes, that is correct. And all we say is that with a rural population that is producing rice, if they produce as much as they can and they sell to the urban population, then it means they are in a better position to purchase whatever they consume more, as they let the urban community consume rice. And with that, at the end of the day, farmers need to make some money, which is why they are in that field.
All right. Yeah. Let's talk about affordability, because at the end of the day, we still have inflation at 7.1%. Everything has gone up. For making rice, you need water and, of course, the power to make it. But there are different varieties depending with your pocket. Just walk us through it, and in terms of, as a consumer, what are the options available for me so that I don't really have to put my money in the really expensive basmati rice, but also other varieties such as the sindano?
That is a very good question. We look at it from two angles. They are called aromatic and non-aromatic varieties. So for aromatic varieties, the one that is high up there is basmati. It's always quite priced, and farmers make good money from it. And what we've seen is that with collaboration with Caro, we've been able to also identify other varieties that are slightly aromatic, not as much as basmati, but they are very tasty and also can fetch that good premium price, meeting that high quality. And this variety is we are calling it Koboka. Farmers are slowly adopting this. It is high producing, has less water requirement, and these all aspects of research into getting more and more high quality varieties that are more producing is something that we really do welcome. At the other end of the non-aromatic varieties, we have what we call IR and ITA. These ones are they are also high producing than basmati, but the one that is at the tail end in terms of quality is called BW, but the production levels are quite high. Yeah.
All right, but when you're looking at the charges, because I'm thinking about a household that, average, they have, the wife, the husband, and at least 2 children. So, and you spoke a little bit about the cost, saying that initially it was 130, and it has gone all the way up to at least 180. How many more can you buy in a week so that it's sustainable, vis-a-vis, getting a packet of maize flour, which is now almost 250 shillings?
It's a good question. With the different, let me call it like separation, you can decide. The Sidanos, the EATAs and the IRs, they are also also very good quality. They may not have their own, but they're also very good quality, and they are not as expensive as basmati. So at 100 shillings per kg, you can get a kg of the non-aromatic varieties, whereas the high-end ones are going for about 250 shillings per kg. Wow. So yeah, so depending, you cannot go hungry if you have 100 shillings. There is the non-aromatic varieties
compared to maize flour, which is 250, and let's not even discuss wheat.
Yes.
Chapati is now luxury. All right. And as a whole, when you're looking at the outlook for rice going forward, you've spoken about introducing new varieties, and at the same time, the acreage in terms of irrigation, how it's going to be expanded. But what else can be done so that we can encourage more farmers to take up this cash crop?
Well, the thing is that the knowledge most of our farmers have as far as rice is concerned is that it's a wet-footed crop, so you have to have paddy fields where you apply a lot of water. But this is changing. We have one of the demonstration projects in Moya where we even have rice that is grown under drip conditions. And the more we get into these varieties that do not require wet-footed conditions, the more we are going to have farmers onboarding it in terms of production in our irrigation schemes. And with proper extension, proper dissemination, providing more and more information through the various extension channels, through our county governments, our Ministry of Agriculture and others, we can be able to change the mindset and have more and more farmers growing rice. But one of the things that we need to do as a country, we also need to get a way of getting a balance between because of geopolitics, the balance between rice imports and rice that is produced here locally, so that our farmers at the end of the day, they don't harvest and end up with stocks of rice accumulated in their stores, and we have cheaper rice coming in that will, of course, always destabilizes the market.
All right. Thank you so much, Engineer Vincent Kabuti. Great insights in relation to rice production in the country and as an alternative crop when it comes to wheat and maize. Now, the main concern for me, engineer, is the fact that whether I can convince my colleague Dibal to take up rice as an alternative carbohydrate to ugali. He's not convinced.
Yeah, there's space for both. There's space for both.
All right, thank you so much for joining me, Brenda Kerubo. I've been your